I used to walk in circles, same mistakes on every street, blaming everybody else for the dust beneath my feet. I'd point my finger at the world, saying why does it treat me wrong? But deep inside I knew the truth had been there all along. 'Cause life don't hand you wisdom wrapped in silver on a plate. You gotta face your own reflection if you wanna elevate. You can't grow if you don't learn. That's the fire in the burn. Every stumble, every turn is a lesson you gotta earn. You can cry, you can curse, but the truth hits you first. You can't grow if you don't learn. Learn. I met a man down on the corner, said he lived 1,000 lives. Told me every broken moment cut you deeper than a knife. But he smiled when he said it, like he made his peace with pain. Said, son, the storm ain't your enemy, it's how you learn the rain. And suddenly it hit me like a freight train in the night. You can't outrun your lessons if you wanna get it right. You can't grow if you don't learn. That's the truth you can't overturn. Every heartbreak, every burn is a page you gotta turn. You can hide, you can run, but the lesson's never done. You can grow if you don't learn. You can grow if you don't learn. Yeah. Now I walk a little wiser, keep my pride a little low. I don't fear the things I'm feeling, I just let the river flow. 'Cause the past don't make you weaker, it just shows you where you've been. And the future opens wider when you let the light come in. So I thank the roads that hurt me, every bruise and every scar. They taught me how to see myself for who I really are. You can't grow if you don't learn. That's the wheel we all return. Every fall is just a turn in the fire where you earn. You can break, you can bend, but the lesson is your friend. You can't grow if you don't learn. Now when trouble finds me, I don't push it all away. I sit down with the moment just to hear what it will say. 'Cause every shadow has a reason, every tear has something true, and the lesson in the darkness is the light that pulls you through. Yeah, the world keeps on teaching if you're ready to return. And the biggest truth I found is simple: you only rise when you learn. You can't grow if you don't learn. That's the soul inside the burn. Every trial, every turn is a bridge you gotta earn. You can fall, you can cry, but you'll stand when you try. You can't grow if you don't learn. So I walk on with the lesson, and I let the fire burn. 'Cause the blues taught me the truth. You can't grow if you don't